One of the biggest factors in owning a successful Google Ads agency is obviously keeping your clients for as long as you can. Today, I'm going to talk about that and what you can possibly do to help avoid losing those agency clients. Let's get started. Hi, my name is Mike Mancini and I've had a Google Ads agency for the last 9 years. So running a digital marketing agency can be a very difficult thing to do if you are constantly churning through clients. If you have a client come on board and they leave within 2 or 3 months, and you're constantly having to replace that client, it's a recipe for, maybe if it's not disaster, it's definitely a recipe for burnout. And I completely feel you. I actually did that myself, and I did it really early in my career. And then about 5 years ago, I did the same thing where I was out there trying to talk to every client who needed help with Google Ads. I wanted them as my client. The problem was they weren't always the best client. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how we keep our existing clients from leaving if that's what they want to do. And stay tuned till the end, as the last one I think is probably the most important. First things first is address their problems. If you have not communicated with your client for months and months and months on end, and then they reach out to you and they are like, well, you know what, this isn't working out, reach out to them. And I don't mean by email. I mean, pick up the phone and give them a call. Sometimes they're just having a bad day. Sometimes they're frustrated about something and they're kind of taking it out on you. This has happened to me in the past where they sent me an email saying they wanted to cancel the service. I immediately called them up and I said, you know what, what's going on? From my end, everything looks good. And then they actually told me that all the leads they had coming in were crap and none of them were closing. And I said, really? Because the results have been consistent for months on end. So what he actually did was he went back and listened to the sales calls that he was recording from a salesperson, found out the salesman was upset and really was tanking the deals, and he obviously needed to go find a new salesperson. But that had nothing to do with me. But just the fact that I reached out to them, we found the solution to the problem, helped me keep that client. And that has been a client now for about 8 years. Next, if it's something where a campaign hasn't been working well when you got it started, maybe it hasn't really taken off yet. Maybe you're a couple months in, maybe it's a smaller spend campaign. One thing you can do is, after 3 months, they're like, you know what, this just isn't working the way I thought. I just don't know if it's going to work for us. There's actually 2 things you can do in this situation. You can first offer them a discount for the next month or 2. You can say to them, to be honest with you, I think we're this close. And obviously only say that if you mean it. But if you're, I think we're really close to taking off. I think this just needs a little bit more time. How about if we give you a discount for the next 60 days? I can't tell you how many times that's bought me those 60 days to get that campaign up and running a little bit more successfully. And then that client continues with us. Sometimes just that little bit of goodwill and saying, you know what, I'm trying. I will communicate with you. We're making these changes. I'll follow up with you next week. Sometimes that's all it takes. But if it doesn't, a little discount can sometimes go a long ways. The next step that you can take is maybe even offer them a free month of service. This has happened in the past where somebody has called us up and they were like, you know what, we just can't do this. We hit some financial, problems. And we can't afford to keep this running and pay your fees and everything, for the next couple months. I've literally gone back to them and said, you know what? I completely understand. How about if we discount our fees, or we actually give you a free month of service or 2 months of service? We can keep your ads running. And that's with the understanding that once that's 2 months are up, then we'll start our billing back. This is obviously a last resort, but this actually has worked in the past where they have come back and they've been absolutely ecstatic with the results. They were so appreciative of the fact that we were willing to work for 30 days for free, and they're still a client, right? I don't want to work with a client for 2 or 3 months. I want to work with a client for 2 or 3 years. That is actually the situation that happened with one of my clients where it's been 4 years now and they are still with us. However, if I would have just said, you know what, I completely understand, you're broke or you're having financial problems, sorry, it's not going to work out, I would have given up on approximately $40,000 to $50,000 of revenue rather than just foregoing 1 month of fees. I'm not saying you should do that to everyone, but if it's the right type of client, you should do what you need to keep them. Sometimes there's just nothing, absolutely nothing you can do to keep a client. You know exactly what I'm talking about. They are either the client who is always looking for something better, they have a brother who's going to do it for free, they're the cheapskate and they found a cheaper service, whatever it might be. Every one of those instances has happened to me. But when that happens, sometimes I'll look at it as, do I really want this client in the first place? 80% of your problems will come from 20% of your clients. If that client is one of those people, I am not going to do what I can to try to keep them. In fact, there are some instances where I will actually go and tell them that we need to stop working with them. I don't need a client calling me at 8 o'clock at night. I don't need a client sending me 10 or 20 emails a week. I don't need to be spending 80% of my time working on their account. So sometimes if a client comes to you and they're going to leave, sometimes it's best to let them go. Ask yourself this, is this one of those clients that's taking up 80% of your time? If so, wish them the best of luck with their business. Be professional, but by any means, do not burn any bridges. I once had a client who was my largest client at the time. He was a very high-priced attorney. However, he was one of these people who really wanted to have a lot of my attention. I really did enjoy working with him, but it was just taking up too much time, and he decided that he wanted to go a different route. I was extremely professional, said, you know what, I wish you nothing but the best of your business, and if you ever have any questions, please give me a call. He's referred 2 clients to me. Those 2 clients have been with me now 3 years. So even though he wasn't my perfect client, because I kept it professional, he actually referred me a lot of business. So sometimes it really works out. And last, and probably the most important thing when it comes to working with clients is set their expectations. Before you ever even start working with a client, let them know this is not a fast play. This is not something where, within a week, they're going to be backing up the money truck, so to speak. I literally had a client use that term and I said, okay, we're going to be turning your ads on today. And they said, all right, we'll back up the money truck. Oh, right there. I knew I did not set their expectations correctly. They were expecting a just massive amount of leads to come in the first week, and that just wasn't the case. Very seldom is it. And because I didn't set those expectations clearly, the client was only with us for about 45 days. They thought they could invest this chunk of money and just get a massive return on it right away, and that was our fail. But the biggest lesson I learned from that fail was before we ever accept a client, we set their expectations correctly. So do you have some other things that you do to help keep clients from leaving? Do me a favor, let me know in the comment section below. Everybody would love to see it. So if you'd like to learn more about how I run my agency and how we deal with clients, you can click the link in the description area below for my course called Ads Agency Unlocked. This is where I teach you everything that I've ever done in my agency, from starting the agency to getting clients to setting up Google Ads campaigns, optimizing, outsourcing the work, scaling the agency. Everything I've done from the beginning 9 years ago up until today, I show you how to do it. And you can find out more about that at adsagencyunlocked.com. I will share the link to the website in the description area below. So if you got some value out of this, please do me a favor, hit that like button. It really helps us in the eyes of YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and that little bell icon so you'll be notified of when I release new videos each and every week. And if you want to see some more videos about how I run my Google Ads agency, over to the right-hand side, you will see those. Thanks so very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.